One of the biggest mysteries in From ever since the beginning has been that monster that appeared in the second episode of the first season when out of nowhere it called Julie by her name right after Julie had arrived. This has been a question since the very start, back in 2022 when the first season was released. Most people and fans ended up confused about how that monster already knew Julie's name, right? After all, she had just arrived in the town and didn't really know anyone. And it was also the first time that the show revealed to us the variety of monsters in the series. But the creators have recently confirmed to us that yes, every loose end they've left for us in the series since the first season will be resolved soon in the upcoming seasons. After all, we've now got the theme of time travel being included in the series, which could solve many of these lingering issues, right? These loose ends, man. And that's what I'm going to talk about in today's video, about who that boy, that monster could be, the one who called Julie by her name as if he really already knew her. Did he really meet her at some point in time? Let's talk about that in today's video. As you know, theorizing about From is always great and it blows our minds together here on the Janela Pop channel, so stick with me until the end because today is another day for us to talk about our favorite series. Hey my friends, welcome to another video here on the channel, another video for us to talk about From. I'm Jeff, and today guys I'm here to talk with you and try to theorize about who that monster could be that showed up back in the first season, more specifically in the second episode, right? But for us to be able to talk about this, let's go back a bit to the beginning of the episode to understand how we got to this point, right? Because in the first episode, the whole premise of the story is shown to us since the series opens by showing the monster, the old lady attacking the girl, which right away makes it clear to us that this is a town where monsters come out at night and trick people disguised as humans. And we understand this right from the start. We get to know all the characters in the town, meeting them one by one until we get to the Miffles, right? Who are the main family, or at least one of the main ones, at least in the series. It's shown to us that they arrive in the town and try to leave, but they always end up coming back stuck in an endless loop. And they end up getting into an accident, crashing head-on with a car, right? Which turns out to be none other than Jade's car. And we would only come to understand this a few seasons later, that fate ended up bringing both Tabitha and Jade together, arriving in the town of From at the same time. And that's when it all begins, right? When the Matthews trailer ends up crashing in the forest while Jim stays there with Christy, Boyd, and Ethan, who got injured inside the trailer. The rest of the group is taken to the town since all of this happens late in the afternoon, almost at nightfall. And we already know that when night falls there, that's when the monsters come out, right? So we see them taking everyone to the town, including Jade, right? Drunk, a jerk since the beginning of the series. However, in this third season, he ends up becoming my favorite character, and we see them going for the first time to the colony house, which is shown to us there. By the way, at this moment, it was already night, and they end up encountering a horde, right? Well, not exactly a horde, right? More like a group of monsters there. We end up seeing the cowboy, the nurse, and among them is the boy, the youngest looking of the monsters. At least his appearance is the youngest, right? And we end up seeing him calling out to Julie, saying, "Hi, Julie," as if he really knew her. The funniest thing about this scene is that when we saw it, people theorized that it could be some kind of person from outside of From, someone Julie met outside. We never really tried to theorize that maybe it was something from the past. After all, at that time, the theme of time travel didn't exist in From. And the craziest part of all is that when he calls Julie, she looks at him as if she really already knows him, as if she's having a déjà vu, I'm not sure how to pronounce it right, but it gave the impression that at some point they had already met, and all of this just kind of passed by, right? Since this happened in the first season. We had other loose ends there too, like Martin's. In fact, Martin's situation was kind of addressed right now in this third season, with him even meeting Julie. I had even made a video talking about how maybe at some point in time, Martin could actually be this monster. And that's why he was able to have the blood that kills the monsters themselves, right? And that's why he was imprisoned for many, many years, because he wasn't human. I still insist that Martin might not be human because he was chained up there apparently for a very long time, since the two people who were chained next to him were already skeletons. So probably at some point in time he was captured and stayed there for a very, very long time. In fact, several characters have passed through there. It wasn't just Julie, right? Even Abby has been there because she herself was mentioned by Martin. But coming back to the boy, right? The monster that appears in the second episode of the first season. After that, I don't really remember him appearing in other episodes, but he ended up reappearing in the last episode of the third season during Smile's rebirth ritual, right? Our dear Boyd's grandson there at the very end of the season. And nothing else was explained, but we can theorize that now, with this time travel, it's going to be more than explained, right? How Julie ended up meeting this monster. And I go even further than that, because as I always tell you, it's really good to try to think outside the box when it comes to From. I think that at some point in this next season, which we'll definitely be getting some news about soon, Julie will end up mastering time travel, either astrally or physically. I don't know which will work for her, but it's probably going to be fully physical. She won't just travel with her mind like she did the first time she accessed the dungeons, because when Boyd accessed them, he didn't just do it with his mind. If we stop to think about it, right? Boyd actually accessed them physically, so Julie will probably be able to do that too, and she'll end up traveling to the past. And that's when the events that will bring these two characters together might happen. Maybe Julie will go back to before the ritual, and maybe everything will happen right in front of her, and she might end up meeting this boy, this teenager, back when he was still human before the whole city curse happened that turned them into some kind of monster. And maybe something might even happen between them, we don't know yet, but my theory is that yes, she will end up going back in time, she'll meet them, and I also think that it wasn't Tabitha and Jade who sang that song of hope for the children. I think the one who will sing that song, who will tell this story of hope to the children, will be Julie at a moment when she tries to save the children and she won't succeed. And she might spend quite a while there in the past, and we'll see her aging, and that's when that moment at the end of the third season happens where she ends up returning to the present and tries to save her father somehow, but he ends up dying there. I don't know, right? If Dean is really going to die there, but we already know that she's a story walker, so she can't interfere, she can't change things, she can only visit certain moments, right? Certain chapters of the story, and that's what she'll end up doing, going back in time, and maybe she'll try to stop the ritual, and that's when she'll end up meeting the man in yellow, the big villain of the story, right? Who we've already seen at the end of this third season, and they'll probably end up becoming enemies, right? In fact, I think he will also have this ability to travel through time, man. So really the only explanation we can have for these loose ends in the series, including the boy who ends up appearing in the first season, is this time travel thing where Julie will go back to before the curse happened, and that's when he'll end up meeting her. There might even be a romance or something like that between the two, and she ends up getting attached to him, which is why she has that feeling as if she already knew him at some point in the story when he talks to her back in the first or second episode, right? From the first season. By the way, I'm rewatching the series so I can bring you more content, and I'll also be covering this third season. But comment down below, am I overthinking it, or does what I'm saying actually make sense, man? I really think it makes a lot of sense because, as I always tell you with From, it's good to think outside the box so we can try to theorize and understand the story a bit better. From is a sci-fi series that goes way beyond what we can imagine, and we're seeing the pieces come together. In fact, fans had theorized that maybe Smiley would return, and the third season was completely focused on that. From the rotting food meant to feed Smiley in Fatima's belly, to the arrival of baby Smiley, who wasn't really a baby by the end of this third season, right? That ending really shocked fans and was a finale worthy of From. I'm already excited for the fourth season, and soon we'll have news. So you know what to do, right? If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and leave your like down below, subscribe to the channel, and click on the playlist that I'll leave somewhere here on the screen so you can watch more than 50 From videos. Lots of great theory videos for those of you who love From. We also have videos about other series, so if you're interested, just click here on the little card and you'll be taken straight to the playlists we have here on the channel. There are lots and lots of videos, over 50 just about From, like I mentioned before. So if you enjoy the series, don't forget, okay, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and if the little hype button shows up down below, click it to help out. It doesn't cost anything, it's quick, and it really helps the channel reach more people since YouTube will see that you're enjoying it and might recommend it to others who could like this kind of video too. So see you in the next video, guys. Big hug. If you enjoyed it, bye. See you next time. I'm out.